Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in News Hour. Trump attacks US Supreme Court over tariff ruling, claims that the decision opens the door to new import duties by all other means. EU lawmakers consider freezing trade deal with the US after the Supreme Court strikes down Trump's tariff powers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Israel on Wednesday, highlighting growing cooperation in defense, technology and security. And India issues a fresh advisory urging citizens to leave Iran immediately as nuclear talks with the United States resume in Geneva amid rising military tensions in West Asia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Israel on Wednesday in a visit that underscores the deep and enduring friendship between the two nations. Ahead of his visit, the Prime Minister responded to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's message on social media, highlighting the trust, innovation and shared commitment to peace and progress that define India-Israel relations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Israel on Wednesday, underscoring the deep and enduring friendship between the two nations. In a message responding to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on social media, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the trust, innovation and shared commitment to peace and progress that define India-Israel relations. He expressed appreciation for the warm sentiments from his counterpart and fully agreed on the strength and diverse nature of bilateral ties.
And this week, we will see an expression of the special relations that have developed in recent years between Israel and the global power of India, and between myself and its leader, Prime Minister Modi. We are personal friends. We speak frequently on the phone. We visit each other.
India's partnership with Israel has grown steadily over the past decades, spanning defense cooperation, agricultural innovation, technology, and people-to-people exchanges. For India, Israel represents a trusted partner in both strategic and developmental spheres. For Israel, India is a vital ally in Asia, offering a vast market and a strong voice on the global stage.
The fabric of relations has continued to tighten, and he will be coming here so that we can tighten it even further through a series of decisions relating to deepening cooperation between the governments and between the states, economic cooperation, diplomatic cooperation, and security cooperation.
Prime Minister Modi noted that India deeply values this partnership built on mutual trust and innovation, and conveyed his anticipation for meaningful discussions during his forthcoming visit. India's foreign policy balances strategic interests with shared values of progress and peace. The visit is expected to reaffirm the enduring bond between the two democracies, while opening new avenues for cooperation in technology, security and sustainable development. Bureau Report, DD India. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to Israel from the 25th to the 26th of February. And in a rare honor extended to Prime Minister Modi, he has been invited to address the Israeli parliament known as the Knesset. And Prime Minister will also hold bilateral talks with his Israeli counterpart, Prime Minister Netanyahu. India's ambassador to Israel, JP Singh, shares details of the Prime Minister's upcoming visit with DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Israel. This would be his second official visit to the West Asian country after 2017. To talk about the significance of this visit, I have with me India's ambassador to Israel, Ambassador JP Singh. Ambassador, welcome to DD India. If you could first broadly take us through the itinerary and what's on agenda on Prime Minister's visit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is visiting Israel on February 25th and 26th. It's a 2 days visit. This is a very historic visit. First time he came to Israel was in 2017, and that time he laid down the foundation of our relationship. And now we have reached a stage where we need to take it forward and start a new phase of our strategic relationship. During his visit, he will be having detailed discussions on bilateral issues and regional and global issues with the Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu. He will also be meeting the President, Mr. Herzog, and he will be addressing the Knesset, which is their parliament, 25th of February.
Ambassador, if we talk about the areas of engagement, we understand that defense and security is like a cornerstone of this partnership. Late last year, an agreement was also signed on co-production of advanced technologies. What can we expect during Prime Minister's visit?
In this visit, as I mentioned, we have a strategic partnership. The best thing about India and Israel are that we don't compete with each other. Rather, we complement each other. And we complement in our core strengths. Israel's core strength is in science and technology, innovation, critical and emerging technologies, be it AI, be it cybersecurity, quantum. And similarly, our core strength is huge kind of engineers, skilled manpower, and there's an ecosystem in India where we can scale it up in sense. So the idea during this visit will be how we can combine these two ecosystems so that both the countries can benefit out of it. So science and technology will be a core area of focus in this particular technology. The other core areas includes our cooperation in agriculture, water technology, workforce, defense and security cooperation, as you mentioned. And in defense, last year we signed a memorandum of understanding in defense cooperation. And there is already going on cooperation, defense. We have a Make in India program. Under the Make in India program, many Israeli companies are participating. And the idea is how, both countries can benefit from this cooperation.
And what can one expect in the domain of trade and connectivity? There is this IMEC corridor of which Israel happens to be a very important part. But what progress can we expect in this engagement?
I think this is one area where there will be discussion during this visit, how to improve trade and commerce. And when we say trade and commerce, last year our Commerce and Industry Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, also visited Israel. During that visit, we signed, he came along with a very big delegation, around 70-member business delegation, CO and, business forum meetings took place. During that visit, both the countries signed the terms of reference for free trade agreement. And you will be happy to know that as we speak today, the delegation from both the sides are meeting in Delhi to take forward negotiations on free trade agreement. And I think during this visit, both the Prime Minister are going to set a roadmap, a target, how to sign free trade agreement at the earliest possible.
Right. And finally, Ambassador, we understand India and Israel share civilizational links with one another. As far as taking forward people-to-people linkages in the 21st century is concerned, what steps could be taken?
India and Israel, people-to-people cultural relations are already very good. Unlike many other parts of the world, in India you won't find any anti-Semitism activity, which we are proud of. India believes in philosophy of coexistence, believe in philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and as Prime Minister says, that world is one family. World is one family. In that spirit, I think we are already doing a lot on improving our people-to-people and cultural relations. We have an Indian Cultural Center in Tel Aviv, under which we organize many film festivals. A number of cultural troops come here. The tourism from Israel to India is picking up. So we are moving in the right direction, and maybe many agreements will be signed during this visit, and you will see some agreements in this field also.
Ambassador Singh, on that note, thank you for speaking with DD India. That was India's ambassador to Israel, talking about the expectations from Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to Jerusalem. With camera person Anand Kumar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Jerusalem.
And Shubhendu Ghosh is now joining us live from Jerusalem with more on this. Shubhendu, we've heard your interview with Ambassador J.P. Singh. So what are Israeli officials and the public expecting?
Expectations are quite high, Mark. To begin with, the honor that is being extended to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be able to address the Knesset is a unique honor given to a world leader, where Prime Minister would be sharing his thoughts on the current geopolitics and the close ties between India and Israel. Also, as far as partnership is concerned, remember, defense and security partnership is a cornerstone of India-Israel ties. If you look at from 2020 to 2024, about 13% of India's defense imports came in from Israel, and for Israel, the percentage that was being exported was a significant one. Israel is also looking at Asia, in particular India, to foster deeper partnership as far as innovation and defense and security is concerned. Then there is also the IMEC, where Israel is looking at India as a principal partner to boost connectivity in the entire region, giving alternative supply chains, responding to the kind of supply chain weaponization that the countries have faced in the past, and also other very, very sensitive themes like cross-border terrorism. These are issues on which Israel and India find themselves on the same page. So, host of issues and themes where there is a great degree of convergence between the two countries. Also, if you look at the principals here, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu, they also share a very close and warm rapport. So in that sense, the mutual warmth and friendship between the leaders also plays a very key role in steering the relationship between the two countries with sort of new milestones. So expectations are high in host of areas, Mark, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to embark on a visit to Israel, his second official visit.
Right, Shubhendu, you did mention, key areas of cooperation like defense and technology, but diplomacy is also likely to play a key role. After all, there's a lot happening in West Asia at the current time. Put that into context.
Oh, absolutely. Israel and the region is in fact recovering from prolonged conflict, as we know. And India has been one country which has been steadfast in its support, in its push for peace in the region. So in that sense, there is a great degree of solidarity that Israel also looks at when it looks at the relationship with India as a leader of the global south, as an important responsible player in global geopolitics. Having a friend like India is a very, very significant symbolism also for Israel. The whole region is looking for an opportunity at peace, reconciliation, and perhaps development. In all these aspects, India in the past has played a key role as far as development inputs in the region is concerned. Also, there is a significant amount of tension brewing in the region vis-a-vis United States and Iran as well. In such a situation, countries are looking for countries to partner with, which can take forward the message, the opportunities at development, at cooperation. So in all these contexts, India becomes a very, very important partner, ally for Israel. So in that context, also the leadership here looking forward to welcoming Prime Minister Narendra Modi and taking forward the close ties between the two countries.
Right. Also, Shubhendu, you did mention that the two principals share a very close relationship. And the last time in 2017, Netanyahu was the Prime Minister then as well, when Prime Minister was in Israel. And there were a number of events that took place that showed that clearly. In fact, them walking on the beach. Is something like that, planned this time round as well?
This is going to be a very packed two-day visit, Mark, for Prime Minister Modi. But the friendship and the warmth between the two leaders is going to be on display through various means. The first, of course, is Prime Minister Modi being welcomed to address the Knesset. Prime Minister Netanyahu, when he was giving out that news to the local media, he also referred to Prime Minister Modi a number of times as a friend. And Prime Minister Modi also gives it back in the same tone. Both the leaders refer to one another as friends. India has just concluded an innovation summit, AI Impact Innovation Summit, which was highlighted by Prime Minister Netanyahu in his engagement with media. And he also mentioned that Israel hopes to take forward the cooperation in this particular domain as far as innovation is concerned. And expectations are high that there would be some engagement with innovators here by both the leaders. There is also a visit scheduled in a sort of somber context, but there is a Holocaust museum here in Jerusalem, which Prime Minister Modi would be paying a visit to. In that sense, paying his respects to something which is in sort of indelible, a very difficult part of the Jewish history, but yet an important one to acknowledge and understand. So in all these gestures, we'll see that warmth and friendship between the two leaders playing out. Mark?
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Shabendra Ghosh, for joining us from Jerusalem. Let's move on to our next story. Still to come here on DD India Newshour. The World Bank says that the cost of rebuilding Ukraine's economy will rise 12% to $588 billion over the next decade. The Dutch get their youngest ever Prime Minister after his confirmation by the King. Australia's Prime Minister Albanese says that his government is going to back any move by the British government to remove Epstein-tainted former Prince Andrew from the line of succession to the British Crown.
Open your mind to a whole new world. Explore mystic wonders of nature in the forests.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Mark Lynn. The US President Donald Trump has renewed his attack on the US Supreme Court after it struck down his sweeping tariff program last week. In a social media post, Trump said that the court may have blocked one set of tariffs but had approved all other tariffs, adding that they could be used in a much more powerful way with legal certainty. The president also expressed concern that the top court could rule against his administration's bid to restrict birthright citizenship in its forthcoming decision in that case. So the remarks come days after the US Supreme Court ruled that Trump exceeded his presidential authority by imposing higher tariff rates under an economic emergency law. Trump also said that any countries that wanted to play games would now face much higher tariffs. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, said that it will halt collection of tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act from Tuesday. This comes days after the Supreme Court ruled the duties illegal. The agency said that it would deactivate all tariff codes linked to President Trump's IEEPA order. The suspension coincides with Trump's move to introduce a new 15% global tariff under a separate legal authority. The CBP did not address potential refunds and clarify that other tariffs, including those under Sections 232 and 301, remain in effect. The European Parliament has postponed a planned vote on the EU-US trade deal following President Trump's decision to impose a new 15% blanket tariff on imports. So the lawmakers, they had set a date to consider proposals to remove various EU duties on American goods as part of the agreement reached in Scotland's Turnberry. Now this vote is scheduled in the Parliament's Trade Committee, and it was suspended for the second time amid renewed trade tensions.
The majority of the shadows decided to change the agenda and postpone the vote on the two legislative files. So I would propose to delete these two votes tomorrow morning. But this means not that we never vote on that. No, We want to have clarity about the situation. We want to have clarity from the United States that they are respecting the deal, because that's a crucial element, that we want to have stability.
As the conflict in Ukraine enters its fifth year on Tuesday, European Union foreign ministers meet in Brussels on Monday to discuss fresh sanctions on Russia. The 27-nation bloc has been pushing to impose a new round of economic punishment on Moscow. However, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, he said on Sunday that Budapest would block the sanctions until the Druzhba pipeline is reopened. As he arrived for the meeting, the German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul urged Hungary to reconsider its decision to block the European Union's next package of sanctions against Russia.
I'm surprised by Hungary's position. We will discuss this with our Hungarian colleagues. I do not believe it is right for Hungary to betray its own struggle for freedom and European sovereignty. That is why we will once again approach the Hungarians with our arguments, both in Budapest and, of course, here in Brussels, to ask them to reconsider their position.
The European Union nations, they are unlikely to reach a consensus on a fresh package of sanctions against Russia. The EU Foreign Policy Chief, Kaja Kallas, has said that continued resistance from Hungary has stalled progress, making an agreement on Monday's meeting of EU foreign ministers highly unlikely. Speaking ahead of the talks, Kallas indicated that divisions within the bloc remain deep, despite mounting pressures to tighten measures against Russia over the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
We are, of course, doing our utmost to have this sanctions package to push this through, and I've talked to the member states who are also going to, raise this and convince the countries who are blocking, and we are also looking ways how we can do it. But as we have heard some very strong statements from Hungary, that's why I don't really, see that they are going to change this. Unfortunately, today, this position that they have.
Meanwhile, Poland has accused Hungary of lacking solidarity with Ukraine, alleging that Budapest is using anti-Kiev rhetoric for electoral advantage.
The thing that shocks me fundamentally is that while Ukraine is defending itself against the might of the Russian army, Hungarians used to understand what it's like. Budapest was invaded, in fact twice in the 20th century, but once by the Red Army. I would have expected a much greater feeling of solidarity from Hungary for Ukraine.
A new report has estimated that rebuilding Ukraine's economy will cost an estimated $588 billion over the next decade, a day before the fourth anniversary of Russia's special military operation. The latest assessment by the World Bank, United Nations, European Commission and the Ukrainian government, based on data from February 24, 2022 through December 31, 2025, showed a 12% increase from last year's estimate, based in part on a 21% jump in damaged or destroyed energy infrastructure from a year ago. According to the report, damages have been highest in the housing sector, with 14% of total housing stock damaged or destroyed, or about $61 billion, followed by the railways and other parts of the transport sector, amounting to $40.3 billion in damages. The 61st session of the UN Human Rights Council kicked off in Geneva on Monday. This session marks the 20th anniversary of the Council amid ongoing human rights crises. Warnings of an imminent financial collapse and attacks on the multilateral system. Over the next 6 weeks, states will negotiate resolutions and hold debates on major human rights issues, with major implications on the right to freedom of expression. Addressing the opening session, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned that human rights are under assault worldwide, citing widespread abuses of international law and devastating civilian suffering in conflicts.
Human rights are under a full-scale attack around the world. The rule of law is being outmuscled by the rule of force. And this assault is not coming from the shadows or by surprise. It is happening in plain sight and often led by those who hold the greatest power. Around the world, human rights are being pushed back deliberately, strategically, and sometimes proudly.
Well, the French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed the Finnish President Alexander Stubb to the Elysee Palace on Monday, expressing continued support for Ukraine as the country marks 4 years of conflict. Both leaders discussed security in the Arctic region and European defense. Macron said that France was committed to implementing the European Union's €90 billion loan to Ukraine, of which €60 billion will be dedicated to financing the delivery of military equipment and strengthening the defense industry in Ukraine and Europe. He said France would also work to exert more pressure on Russia via EU sanctions and a maritime blockade of Russian oil. Rob Yetten became the youngest prime minister in Dutch history on Monday after his minority government was formally confirmed by King Willem Alexander. The 38-year-old leader steered his pro-European D66 party to a surprise election victory last October, promising a break from the divisive politics of the previous administration. However, his centre-right coalition lacks a majority in both houses of parliament and will require opposition backing to pass legislation. The new government marks a rare minority experiment in the Netherlands' traditionally consensus-driven political system. The Mexican army announced on Sunday that it had killed the powerful drug kingpin El Mencho Oseguera in an operation that sparked a wave of violence in various parts of the country. The Mexican President, Claudia Sheinbaum, urged citizens to remain calm. Meanwhile, India, the US and Canada have urged citizens in parts of Mexico to shelter in place amid the chaos.
Smoke, flames and fear gripped several cities in Mexico as cartel violence erupted. In the resort city of Puerto Vallarta, vehicles burned and dark plumes rose into the sky as the nation was brought to a standstill by drug cartels. The reason? Cartel leader Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, died after being critically injured in clashes with security forces. Highways were blockaded, businesses torched, and panic spread as unrest reached areas near Guadalajara International Airport, bringing parts of the nation to a standstill. El Mencho led the feared Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, a powerful transnational criminal network. The cartel launched coordinated attacks across 8 Mexican states, torching vehicles, erecting roadblocks, and targeting security forces. Responding to the unrest, Mexico President Sheinbaum said there is absolute coordination with the governments of all states.
Today there is more calm and there is government, there are armed forces and there's a security cabinet and a lot of coordination. So you can rest assured that peace, security and normality in the country are being safeguarded.
Meanwhile, Mexican army deployed 2,500 troops in western Mexico as a deterrent measure following the death of drug lord Nemesio El Mencho Oseguera during a military operation.
Since last night they have been gathering and will continue to do so today. Additional military personnel from the center of the republic and also from the states bordering Jalisco, for a total of 2,500 troops as reinforcements.
Many states across Mexico have urged residents to remain indoors, while the US Embassy advised American citizens to shelter in safe place. The US State Department had earlier announced a $15 million reward and also confirmed it provided intelligence assistance for the operation. Major US carriers have suspended flights to Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara. Air Canada has also halted operations in the region. India has also issued an advisory urging its nationals in Mexico to shelter in place and monitor local media amid the volatile security situation. Meanwhile, in a parallel anti-narcotics operation, the Mexican Navy seized more than 1 metric ton of drugs in Baja California Sur. The killing of Mexico's most feared drug lord marks not just a tactical victory in the war on drugs, but a pivotal moment in North America's battle against transnational crime and the deadly fentanyl trade. With inputs from Nishchoy Roy, DD India.
Well, the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio may delay a trip to Israel in which he is expected to speak to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about potential strikes on Iran, a U.S. official has said. This comes as Iran warns that pressuring it to accept unilateral U.S. demands will yield no results, as Oman confirms that the two sides will resume nuclear negotiations in Geneva on Thursday. Here's the latest.
Iran has said that pressurizing it to unilaterally accept US demands will certainly yield no results. This comes as Oman confirms that the two sides will hold nuclear talks in Geneva on Thursday.
We have no benefit in the continuation of the negotiations. Negotiations are beneficial for us when they lead to a result. Our people are under pressure and facing difficulties arising from the unjust sanctions that have been imposed against Iran under the pretext of the nuclear issue. Therefore, reason, logic, and morality dictate that we should act as quickly as possible to lift these sanctions.
Earlier, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that he was hopeful of a deal with the US.
Well, we are still working on that, and we are trying to make it something which consists of elements which can accommodate both sides' concerns and interests. And we are working on those elements. And I believe that when we meet, probably this Thursday in Geneva again, we can work on those elements and prepare a good text and come to a fast deal. This is my understanding. I see it quite possible.
Iran has signaled a willingness to dilute its uranium stockpile in exchange for sanctions relief. US has also sought to expand the talks beyond the nuclear issue to cover Iran's missile program and its support for regional armed groups. Iran has publicly rejected this demand. Washington earlier stationed warships and fighter jets in West Asia, with President Donald Trump warning that really bad things would happen if no agreement is reached to solve the long-standing dispute over Tehran's nuclear program. Bureau Report, DD India.
India has issued an advisory for its nationals who are currently in Iran. They have been advised to leave the country by available means of transport, including commercial flights. In a statement, the Embassy of India in Tehran said, and I quote, "All Indian citizens and persons of Indian origin have been advised to exercise due caution, avoid areas of protests, stay in contact with the Indian Embassy in Iran, and monitor local media for any developments. All Indian nationals are requested to also have their travel and immigration documents, including passports and IDs, readily available with them." The embassy has also provided emergency contact helplines, which you can see on your screens right now. All Indian nationals who are in Iran and who have not registered with the Indian Embassy are requested to do so. Still to come here on DD India Newshour, we'll get you expert opinion on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's forthcoming visit to Israel. And the Prime Minister congratulates the team of the film Boong on winning a BAFTA award and calls it a moment of pride for Manipur and the nation.
स्वागत आहे to magnetic Maharashtra. One of India's newest states, one of India's oldest lands. Jharkhand is a hidden Welcome to Jharkhand.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, during the first 15 minutes of our program, we had highlighted the Prime Minister's forthcoming visit to Israel, and we are now joined by Dr. Samuel Rajiv. He's a research fellow at the Manor Parrikar Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv. Now, Prime Minister is returning to Israel after 2017. So how significant is this?
Well, you're absolutely right. So only the second prime ministerial visit in the history of the India-Israel diplomatic relations, 1992 when they were established. So 34 years, only the second visit. And Prime Minister Modi was the first one who went in 2017. And now he's going again, second time. So he's going in the context of vastly different regional context. There is a changed momentum in India-Israel bilateral relations also. Given the fact in the past decade or so, we have increased, our defense procurement from Israel. The institutional mechanisms have been further strengthened across the range, defense, agriculture, science and technology, innovation. So we can expect all of these aspects to be further strengthened during this visit.
Also, Dr. Rajiv, Prime Minister's visit comes at a time when, Israel is being pressured internationally to accept the two-state solution, and that is India's long-standing position as well. Will it figure in the conversation?
You're absolutely right. So we have principled stands on this issue. We have always championed the cause of a two-state solution, and we have said that repeatedly, even in the recent past also. Our voting record at the UN also bears testimony to that. So I think we're going to reinforce this even during the Prime Minister's visit now. Remember, the Prime Minister was the first, one of the very few leaders who actually visited Ramallah when he went to Palestine, in 2018. This was after his Israel visit, so that we're giving a lot of developmental aid to the Palestinians also. So all of these aspects will be further continued and strengthened also.
So now, is India balancing its Israel partnership with its wider relationships across West Asia? If so, how?
Well, we have very strong defense partnership, people-to-people contacts with Israel. We have obviously very strong diasporic relations with the wider West Asian region, the Middle East region. And we have always held the interests of the region, our own interests in mind when we are pursuing bilateral relations with each of these countries. So this balance will continue going forward. As the regional situation becomes tense, India has been a voice of calm. It has always said that dialogue is a way forward. And as your reports earlier have highlighted, the US-Iran talks are going to be held a couple of days later in Geneva. So we're hoping a positive solution and outcomes will follow from those talks also.
So, Dr. Rajiv, you did mention about Iran, and how do the ongoing regional tensions, such as Iran's posture also and against Israel, that is, and the broader instability impact the significance of this visit?
Yes, so I think India is one of the biggest countries in the world, the Prime Minister with the largest populations in the world. We are a big regional player. We have good relations with almost every country in the region and in equal measure. Each of these relations are very strong. So the Iran nuclear issue has been a long-standing issue, nearly 2 decades and it's running, primarily because of Iran's nuclear enrichment program and Americans and the Israelis not being happy with it. So hopefully these talks will show some way forward. As we have repeatedly said, any disturbance as a result of this issue will impact regional stability negatively. And given that we have significant stakes regionally, we have always said that for the sake of regional stability, this issue has to be resolved through negotiations.
So in the long term, I mean, could India-Israel cooperation in defense, technology, growing areas, there's going to be a trade agreement also, according to the ambassador, influence the strategic balance in West Asia?
Yes, I think beyond a point, the fault lines in the region are drawn. So, and we have tried very hard to, overcome them and establish, useful relations with each of these countries in the region. But India-Israel relationship is, the strength of the relationship is good for both countries. It's good for regional stability also. If projects like for instance, the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor also, fructify, this is going to, help in all-round development and increase trade. The bilateral trade, the FTA hopefully will be negotiated this year. So all of these developments should give further momentum to the India-Israel bilateral relations as well as help in regional stability.
Dr. Samuel Rajiv, Research Fellow at Manor Parkar Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis. Thank you for joining us and putting that into context for us. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the achievement of empowering 30 lakh households across the nation with rooftop solar power, describing it as a commendable milestone in India's clean energy journey. Responding to a post by the Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prahalad Joshi, the Prime Minister posted, and I quote, "A commendable milestone in India's clean energy journey, compliments to all those who have benefited from this scheme and embraced rooftop solar power, thereby boosting savings, sustainability and self-reliance. This scheme is a part of our efforts to build an energy-secure, green and future-ready India." The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Monday launched the National Monetization Pipeline 2.0, targeting 16.72 lakh crore rupees in asset monetization during financial year 26 to 30, the 4 years or 5 years that is. So this includes in fact 5.8 lakh crore rupees in private investment. The NMP 2.0 is developed by Niti Aayog in consultation with various ministries, and it builds on the asset monetization plan of 2025 to 30 announced in the Union Budget of 2025-26. So the Finance Minister, she noted that nearly 90% of the 6 lakh crore rupees target under the first NMP was achieved, and she also stressed the need for simplified processes and time-bound execution. At the India AI Impact Summit 2026, young innovators from IIT Delhi, they drew attention with an AI-powered smart stick. It's designed for the elderly. The device tracks vital parameters, including real-time heartbeat monitoring, and ensures continuous health surveillance. Equipped with AI-based fall detection, it can instantly trigger emergency alerts, showcasing how Indian innovation is making AI more human-centric and impactful.
From policy to prototype, from vision to validation, the India AI Impact Summit 2026 has emerged as a powerful testament to India's growing dominance in responsible and inclusive artificial intelligence. Amid the buzz of global tech leaders and policy makers, a group of students from IIT Delhi stole the spotlight at the Qualcomm Pavilion. They showcased an AI-powered smart stick designed especially for elderly citizens, blending empathy with engineering.
We have the smart stick AI, which is fully AI powered to assist elderly people keeping track of their essential vitals, and as well as creating some AI-based alerts, for example, fall detection or heartbeat tracking and many other features.
The intelligent stick tracks essential vitals including real-time heartbeat monitoring, ensuring continuous heart surveillance. Equipped with AI-based alert systems, the device can detect falls and instantly trigger emergency notifications, potentially saving lives in critical moments. At a time when the world debates AI ethics and governance, India's young innovators are demonstrating impact where technology serves society. The India AI Impact Summit 2026 didn't just host conversations about the future, it showcased the future, built in India. Bureau Report, DD India.
And building on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's post-Operation Sindoor multi-party outreach, the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has constituted parliamentary friendship groups with more than 60 countries. The move reflects a conscious effort by the Parliament of India to deepen dialogue and exchanges with legislatures across continents and to complement traditional diplomacy and sustain parliamentary interaction. The friendship groups bring together members of parliament from across the political spectrum. Some of the countries with whom parliamentary friendship groups have been constituted include Sri Lanka, Germany, Israel, the United States and Russia. Looking to build resilience and thrive at a time when global tariffs have hit the spice industry pretty badly across the globe, the 4-day International Spice Conference, it was organized by the All India Spices Exporters Forum, which began in Kochi on Monday. And the 9th edition of this conference, held under the theme Spice 360, Getting Future Ready, is expected to focus on strengthening compliance systems, also building resilient supply chains and expanding collaboration between regulators and industry across producing as well as importing regions. Inaugurating the International Spice Conference in Kochi, Amitabh Kant, former G20 Sherpa and former CEO of Niti Aayog, he called on the spice industry to shift decisively from bulk exports to high-value, branded and technology-driven products. Chhattisgarh's Bastar, once known for Naxal violence, is now redefining itself through art, culture and creativity. Where gunfire once echoed, the rhythmic sound of chisels and hammers now shapes a new chapter of hope and resilience. DD India's Shomesh Patel reports from Bastar.
For nearly 4 decades, Bastar remained trapped in the flames of conflict. The shadow of left-wing extremism limited its identity to violence and unrest. But the true identity of Bastar lies deep within its soil, a land where almost every household nurtures an artist and every village is a home to a craftsman. In the dense forests of Bastar, timber like teak, sal and bija is not merely wood. In the hands of skilled artisans, it transforms into living expressions of culture. For generations, tribal craftsmen have been carving deities, tribal life, wildlife and folklore into wood, preserving their heritage through art. The biggest strength of Bastar's wooden art is its natural simplicity. Chemical colors are rarely used in this art. The natural grain, texture and fragrance of the wood define its authenticity. Idols of tribal deities, traditional masks, decorative wall panels, intricately carved wildlife figures. Each creation reflects the vibrant cultural heritage of Bastar in its purest form. Several artisans from Bastar have taken this traditional craft to national platforms. Craftsmen Ramnath Kashyap and Dashrath Kashyap say there was a time when people were afraid of the name Bastar. But today, the same people admire Bastar's art. Bastar is gradually transforming. Their wooden artworks are now being sent to cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Jaipur and Bengaluru.
यहाँ की मूर्तियाँ दिल्ली, बॉम्बे, बेंगलुरु, विदेश भी जाता है। कला को जीवित रखने का काम सिखाने का प्रयास करते हैं सर।
Bastar's wooden art is not just carving on wood. It is the story of transformation taking shape on this land. Where once the sound of guns echoed, today the rhythm of chisel and hammer resonates. This change is not merely about identity, it symbolizes dignity, self-reliance and cultural resurgence. Sumesh Patel's report for DD India.
The BAFTA Film Awards have delivered major wins and a few surprises as well, setting the stage for an intense Oscars race ahead. Now, India too has reason to celebrate, with the regional film bringing home a top honour, from sweeping victories to unexpected upsets. The night belonged to bold storytelling. Diptanshu Kashyap has the report.
India made its presence felt on the global stage at the BAFTA Film Awards in London, England. The Manipuri language film Boong, directed by Lakshmi Priya Devi, won Best Children's and Family Film, marking a proud moment for Indian regional cinema. Meanwhile, American filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson and his latest comedy thriller, One Battle After Another, continued their award season dominance, sweeping 6 trophies, including Best Film, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor for Sean Penn. The vampire thriller Sinners picked up 3 major wins: Best Original Screenplay for director Ryan Coogler, Best Supporting Actress for Wunmi Mosaku, and Best Original Score for Ludwig Göransson. The period drama Hamnet was named Outstanding British Film, with Jessie Buckley winning Best Actress. The biggest surprise of the night came in the Best Actor category, where Robert Aramayo triumphed for his role in I Swear, beating award season favorite Timothée Chalamet. In the international race, Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value won Best Film Not in the English Language. Technical honors were shared by films including Frankenstein and F1. It was a night of big wins, unexpected turns, and global storytelling taking center stage, further intensifying the Oscars race. Diptanshu Kashyap for DD India.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated the team of the Manipuri film Boong, which won the BAFTA Film Award for the Best Children's and Family Film. Taking to the social media platform X, the Prime Minister wrote, and I quote, "Congratulations to all those associated with the film. This is indeed a moment of immense joy, especially for Manipur. It also highlights the immense creative talent in our nation." Time now for all the sports news. And Australia will host India in the first women's ODI of the 3-match series at Allan Border Field on Tuesday. The series marks the final international appearances in Australian colours for Alice Healy, who averages over 42 against India in women ODIs. So it's backed also by consistency of Beth Mooney and Phoebe Litchfield and the experience of Elise Perry. The hosts, they boast depth across departments. India arrived with momentum, however, after seeding the T20I series 2-1, and the visitors returned to the 50-over format for the first time since their World Cup triumph in Navi Mumbai. The last ODI meeting between these sides saw Jemima Rodrigues script a memorable unbeaten 127 in the semi-final. Smriti Mandana also continues to anchor the top order with remarkable consistency, while Harmanpreet Kaur, Deepti Sharma and Renuka Singh Thakur provide balance in the middle. The veteran Indian shuttler Kidambi Srikanth and the Junior Championships silver medalist Tanvi Sharma, they're going to spearhead India's challenge at the German Open Super 300 tournament, which begins on Tuesday. Srikanth has slipped to 82 in the rankings, but has since climbed back to world number 32 and is working to further improve his position to secure direct entries into the higher Super 750s and Super 1000 events. 16-year-old Tanvi will lead the charge in the women's singles event along with Malvika Bonsod, who will be playing her 6th tournament of the year after returning from a knee injury. Other marquee Indian players at this event will be the world number 45, Ishrani Barua, Kiran George and Akarshi Kashyap. Manchester United will be looking for redemption when they face Everton in their first ever trip to the Hill Dickinson Stadium in the Premier League tonight. The Red Devils stooped to a 1-0 loss against a depleted Everton side in their reverse fixture in November last year. However, Michael Carrick's appointment as head coach has sparked a notable upturn in form for Man United. United have collected 4 wins and a draw under him, reviving hopes of a top 4 finish and a return also to the Champions League. Everton remains in the mix for a Conference League berth, as well as they could close the gap on United with a victory. Atletico de Madrid trained in Majadahonda ahead of their second leg Champions League playoff match against Club Brugge. And Nico Gonzalez and Pablo Barrios, they are both sidelined until next month and will not feature in the match in Madrid on Tuesday. The Spanish side twice had the lead in the first leg, but a last-minute equalizer from the Belgians tied the score at 3-3. Atletico have been inconsistent of late, winning just 2 of their last 5 matches in all competitions, but head into Tuesday's match off to back. This is at the back of victory against Espanyol. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Newshour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, please get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, which is available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India Newshour. Namaskar.